year is 2005, and gamers have been playing a tactical realistic SWAT simulator called SWAT 4, which was and still is loved for being a methodical tactical police game that boasted realism and allowing the player to have control of your team's movements and take on demanding, intense settings, making you feel fully immersed in the world. But as a spiritual successor of SWAT 4 came Ready or Not, the huff of fresh air that the community needed, with modern controls and still containing the same amount of detail as the fantastic game SWAT 4. It first launched for PC players on the 17th of December 2021, which allowed these people to build a community up until the console release on the 15th of July 2025. PC was able to experience this disturbing, gut-wrenching world with ominous and expert world storytelling that would make your blood run cold. For console players, this game had to be censored for release, meaning a lot of shock factor wasn't available for these console players. But despite that, this game remains one of the most disgruntling and masterfully made tactical shooters that I have ever played, and the deeper the lore got, the more disturbed I became. This is Ready or Not.
This call is being recorded. What is your emergency?
I need the police. You need to send the police right away.
Come help me.
God, I'm sorry.
I don't want to die.
I'm sorry. I love you.
Help us.
You ready?
Yes, sir. Ready.
Move! 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 Take it down!
You are a SWAT team leader called Judge, and you are the ideal, most prospective officer possible. You obey every order and you're damn good at your job. This department is set in Los Sueños, evidently based on the real-life Los Angeles, California. Los Sueños, meaning the dreams in Spanish, is ironic as this godforsaken metropolitan city is nothing but riddled with poverty and homelessness, and the most villainous crime imaginable. From petty store thieves to illegal weapon manufacturing to undercover FBI agents, cults, drugs, terrorists, human trafficking of both adults and minors, which includes illicit content rings. This place is filth. And LSPD are the last few and final of God's lone soldiers doing what they can to clean up this mess. Men and women have been broken, crumbling over the pressure and disgust encountered from venturing this abominable plane, which is contrasting to its past, as Los Sueños in the 20th century was exceeding, but by 2020 everything fell apart. The economy crashed and so did society. From homeless vets to politicians in power, nobody was safe from the hands of corruption. The department themselves even mentioned it on a briefing of a HQ quote. Life in Los Sueños is unforgiving. The sidewalks are littered with tents of the homeless. People clamour for money to keep themselves off the street. Criminals' activity is at an all-time high. Morale is at an all-time low. It is truly hard times for both the citizens of Los Sueños but also the department. So it is up to you to do your part. You have 18 main game operations to go through, both with either your AI squad, your friends, or even alone, with 8 additional DLC operations. Home Invasion, which takes place after a catastrophic hurricane ripping through Los Sueños, and investigate homes that have been intruded. Dark Waters, looking for emergencies surrounding coastal areas such as yachts and oil rigs. And finally, Los Sueños Stories, tackling gangs. As you enter the game, we spawn into Los Sueños Police Department. Here you can walk around and get a scope of the place. Outside you can find a speaking pedestal, which is trash beyond the gates. Inside you have many departments to look at, such as the evidence room where you can research evidence found from each mission completion, which gives little tidbits of lore about that level. Or the shooting range downstairs where you can test your loadout. There's even a prisoner. We don't talk about him.
We're not looking for body bags. Maintain your ROE.
But most importantly, you have the HQ and the locker room. In here you can change your loadout. You have many weapons to pick from, such as assault rifles, varied with compact, robust, self-suppressed, long-range and non-lethal, submachine guns, shotguns, and if you had the deluxe edition, you had access to grenade launchers. You also have a wide choice of pistols. All these weapons you can customize their attachments like scopes, suppressors, laser sights, etc. You have back assist equipment, which all have different values like riot shields, battering rams, recon mirror cameras, and M320 launchers. These all allow you to make a build supporting your playstyle. Then we have your armor, with various choice, with lighter choices making you quicker, but you take more damage, to heavy armor allowing you to take more damage, but your speed and acceleration is lowered heavily. Additionally, you have headgear such as gas mask, ballistic masks, anti-flash goggles, and if you want to go full Rambo, you can run no headgear at all. The loadout selector is very in-depth and customizable, where you can even pick how many mags of each gun you want to carry and which type of ammunition you want. This includes equipment like flashbangs, C2, wedges, tasers, etc. These all take up one loadout point per item, which can be increased or decreased depending on what armor you have equipped. You can also customize your fit. This has a lot of choice, with more items being unlocked for completing certain instances, such as S rank in a map. You can change your clothing to your armor, or even your tattoos and glasses. This customization really helps you give a feel of control and simultaneously making you feel like you're constructing a team. But now your loadout is ready, you have to craft your squad. On Commander mode and Iron Man mode, there is a roster of AI characters that have different abilities that get unlocked after giving them experience on the field. You can also customize the loadout and clothing the exact same way that you can. This again gives you flexibility to craft a team of your playstyle. If you're aggressive and hard breaching, then you'll love having a veteran, breacher, an S-bag and a negotiator, which helps you enter quickly and neutralize targets peacefully or harmfully. But now we can go to HQ and select our first mission. You can choose difficulty ranging from easy, medium and hard, and we have 3 targets which we can see on our tablet that gives us a briefing of the mission with suspects, civilians, media and 911 calls. These men are Andre Williams, Jaden Fletcher and Zion Pretlow. These 3 men are robbing a gas station with a background of drug and violence offences. It is even stipulated that they are under the influence of methamphetamine. There are also civilians inside, but more noticeably a little girl named Crystal Layton, who has gone missing inside the building, as we was notified by her mother, Charlotte Layton, who is also stuck in this robbery.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello, my name is Charlotte Layton. I'm at a gas station and need help right now.
Ma'am, are you at the 4U gas station on 5th and Van Dyke South Side?
Yes, please help. I got separated from my daughter, Crystal. They're shooting people.
Okay, I need you to listen to me carefully, okay? Follow my instructions. You need to find a safe place anywhere you can hide, and I need you to stay on the line with me, okay? Officers are already on the way.
Okay. Please don't hang up. Oh, God.
I'm here, ma'am. I need you to stay hidden and quiet for me until officers get there.
Okay. Oh, fuck, I think they're coming.
Now we are outside the gas station ready to enter. The gameplay consists of strategically analysing each room, as rushing is a death wish. Taking it slow is the way to go if you want to survive. You have many quips to your disposal. You have semi-automatic or full automatic, night vision, equipment wheels, glow sticks, team body cams, and you can even lower your weapon to walk faster. If you're on Commander or Iron Man mode, you can command your AI to do actions, from stacking up to clearing in many ways. Scanning, disarming traps, and using mirror guns, and many more options. This gives you massive control of your team and allows you to make many strategic decisions. You even have a map on your tablet to plan out your attack. You have 2 teams, red and blue, which can be ordered separately or together in gold team. You can also queue them to have a coordinated breach. You can also order them to do things for you, such as pick a lock, arrest suspects, or secure evidence. Evidence being dropped weapons from suspects. You can also do the same with suspects and civilians, telling them to come over to you or move away when they've surrendered. But be aware, as suspects suspects on their knees can jump at you and ambush you when you're not looking, either with a gun or a knife. The game is highly in depth. You'll be able to check your ammo without reloading, instead of having a massive ammo count as UI, which you can also do while aiming down sights. After breaching, you should be cautious. You can clear a room in many ways. A massive room would be ideal to have a split stack clear, so both teams venture into both sides of the room, with you being able to go through the middle. A centered mass small room is very dangerous, as an enemy could be hiding in any part out of sight. Here it would be smart to throw a flash, gas, or a stinger to flush out the enemy. There are many situations you'll come across where you must adapt to your surroundings and depict what the best plan of attack is, because of course you wouldn't want you, your team, or civilians to perish. You can crouch to hide and cover, however moving while crouched will take away your latitude. You can also peek, giving you advantage when scanning a corner, and you can also use a canted sight, which is advantageous in narrow environments where a full sight would be a bit too cumbersome. Now you are ready to take on suspects. When encountered, you can yell for compliance. Some listen straight away, allowing you to arrest them and rewarding you with a better score. However, some will hesitate. You can hit them or warn in fire to make them drop, but some do not. This unfortunately means you will have to engage in a gunfight. Depending on where you hit them, they may be dead or incapacitated. On the latter, you can still restrain them and get more points for having them be alive, but you will not be able to get an S rank. This all depends on the place of hit or the caliber of the gun and bullet. The gas station is pretty standard on paper. Unruly drugged thugs robbing a store, but these guys aren't any normal thugs. Los Sueños has made these guys adapt into evil beings. You venture in the back of the store and you'll find a manager who called 911.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello! I'm being robbed!
Okay, try to remain calm for me, sir. Where's the robbery taking place?
The foil gas station at 5th and Van Dyke, Southside. No, I've got it. They started shooting.
Officers are on the way, sir. I need you to get somewhere safe, okay? And if you're able to, please tell me how many people you saw inside.
I'm in the back room. I'm not sure how many. I think...
Sir? Hello, sir?
No way. No.
Are you there?
Hello.
Sir?
No.
This is him, Mudasir. Just another day for the manager, he thought, but instead his life and others were taken carelessly. Remaining in the back of the store, you'll be able to find Crystal, the child, hiding in the back, cowering in fear. An innocent soul traumatized for life, same for the mother who was scared for her life, thinking that she may have lost a child. For a starting mission, it sets in pretty deep that the crime in Los Sueños isn't any petty crime. These people are insane and unrelenting, but this is absolutely nothing compared to what's to come. If you are brought order to chaos, rescued all civilians, found Crystal and the manager, then you are able to go home and wrap it up.
Report to center for debrief.
Once completion, you'll get your score. You'll get points for alive suspects, evidence secured, soft objectives, and no dead officers. You will lose points for having team damage, dead civilians, etc. And the best rank you can get is an S, which can only be obtained by doing non-lethals, which means nobody can get killed and no team damage can be inflicted. You must collect all evidence and soft objectives. Your sweep will usually go like this: target suspects first, and civilians tied up in a safe space as you go, since they will run to you if it is safe to do so. Soft objectives as you go, and evidence left until last. As with AI, you can commence a search and secure, where they'll go across the map and pick up everything. Unless you're with a friend or solo, which you're gonna have to bag all the evidence as you go along. You'll also get a report on your team's mental health. If you arrested 4 or more suspects, your team will remain content. However, if you kill most suspects or a civilian or an officer dies, they will become anxious or even stressed. If this gets pushed any further, they can go into crisis and eventually leave. You can send them into therapy or rotate your squad to keep them happy. But now we'll venture into the real game. We get a call from an apartment about a hostage situation. A man called Michael Williams, a streamer, who tells us this.
911, what is your emergency?
My name is Michael Williams. I'm currently in apartment 14 in the San Uriel condominiums with my piece of shit brother. I'm calling you because I've killed my mother, and I'm going to kill my brother. And then I'm going to kill myself. So don't come in.
Okay, sir, stay with me. I would like to...
Don't tell me what to do!
This is all we know thus far, and it is urgent. As we get in, we see towering apartments in a dusty, unkept way, showcasing the lack of care Los Sueños has been put through. There are 2 entry points, however you'll come across the same room. You'll be greeted by security in a big room with many computers and servers. It seems clear that we've stumbled across something more than we thought. Turns out these thugs are acting as hired guns for Michael to protect his illegal crypto mining gig. As we go upstairs and go through more hired guns, we have 2 rooms to enter. The furthest along is an apartment room with potentially more gunmen. Note that enemy swarm changes each run and the amount varies depending on difficulty. Once we clear out, we will find a lady in the bathroom. This woman is actually Michael's mother, whom in the report was called dead. This tells us that the call must have been faked. Due to Michael being a popular streamer, it's most likely he was swatted by a viewer and that the call was fake too. This makes us not trust the briefings, as numerous times we enter these dangerous environments lacking knowledge. But it was a lucky shot for LSPD that Michael got swatted. Once we enter the final room, we are met with many guns. This is the main room, Michael's room. With the amount of protection up here, makes it suspicious. Looking around, you'll find a lot of lewd anime figures. This sets him up to be a bit of a degenerate, and clearly there is something a little bit wrong with him, most likely not having an intimate moment with another human in a while. You will also stumble across his brother, who seems unaware that apparently his brother wants to kill him, which further verifies that Michael was spotted via fake call. We'll enter Michael's room and neutralize him, preferably alive. Now you can look around his room and come across yet more anime figures, but you'll notice a song playing on the TV by Andre Williams, which is the same man who was involved in the robbery in Thank You Come Again. We'll also find a furry suit in the back room, so take that with what you will. But most importantly, we find his stream. You'll see a chat reacting to everything, which is a very good added detail, which ReadyOrNot excels at. Also Tidbit, his username is Milky Toes Games, so clearly it's an alright in the head. However, if you move your head to the left, you'll find a chat log with another user. Now, all of a sudden, your suspicions on this man adds up. There is something deeper. The message reads, "Yo bro, you got the goods? She figured you out yet? Been itching to see more of that. Yo my dude, you know me, got my fingers everywhere. Checked out what's on the Mindshot private server. This stuff is prime. Also, LOL, check out my neighbor. She is smoking. Woof woof." She has no idea. A moment of disgust flows through your body as you realize what's really going on here. If it wasn't clear enough, Michael Williams is a deranged, troubled man. From one fake 911 call, we found 3 major crimes. Michael is a predator who is involved in a legal, illicit minor content ring. You may notice the server name, Mindshot. Remember that. It will become apparent soon. But now you've come to terms with a profound, disturbing truth you've stumbled across, unwarned, and once again realized that the city is worse than it seemed. An undercover patrol cop discovered something massive. He found the houses containing laboratories cooking methamphetamine, which has been a rampant infection in Los Sueños. There are 2 fumigated houses that interconnect with each other and a secret garage, and suspects will be highly erratic and volatile. When we get deployed, a sudden shift in atmosphere sets in. It's unnerving and dark. Our target is a John Doe, which is a standing name for an unknown anonymous person, and we are to find 2 meth labs and a meth storage. This mission gets you off guard with its level, and if you aren't prepared, it can horrify you. You have 2 entry points, the main door or the backyard. If you enter through the front door, you'll most likely encounter suspects. These people are very erratic, where you'll notice they'll hesitate longer or start sprinting towards you. Suspects also have a morale system. Certain things like suspects shooting raises their morale, which is the reason for long shootings. However, you can lower the morale of a suspect by kicking doors down, using C2 and flashbanging them, or even outnumbering them and yelling at them to comply. This will make them more likely to surrender. However, some enemies, if pushed too far, can commit. The house is smashed to pieces, and no love is shown to maintaining the house since everyone is doped out of their mind. Looking at the bathroom, you'll find a toilet absolutely filled with feces, smothered everywhere. It is truly a disgusting moment and amplifies how dirty you feel being in this crack house. The kitchen is stained and the living room is trashed. You have a very creepy dark back room which leads to outside. Once you sweep the downstairs, you can go upstairs or in the garage. Venturing upstairs, you'll encounter a lot more suspects, and these ones are especially bold. There is a new enemy introduced to us, specifically for this mission, the knife enemy. These guys will ambush you or sprint towards you behind cover, and this is what always catches me. All of a sudden, ReadyOrNot is now a horror game like Outlast, where you feel unnerved with every corner you come across, as you never know which one has a suspect hiding waiting to ambush you. It is highly recommended to use night vision and a flashlight on this map. If not, then you may have some parts where you cannot see very well, such as the attic. If you go left, you'll come across 4 rooms. The left room contains an absurd amount of meth. It would make water white shed a tear, telling us that this crack house is a big house for production of meth in Los Sueños. The room on the right contains a lot of cash, also telling us that this distribution from this house is doing very well. The second room on the right, however, holds something much darker. A child's room. On the bed lays a convulsing man. Laying next to her is a syringe, and on the floor you'll see around the room, you'll find the girl's disturbed drawings, reflecting her trauma. This was the first point in the game where I was stunned. A game has never made me feel so much disgust before, but the worst part is that this happens in real life, and that is what makes this game even more powerful. The censorship for console changed this room, however. The miner is unconscious, sleeping, and the syringe is gone, along with the drawings are still there, however. The end room is a bedroom, and you may encounter a suspect hiding under the bed. This is also a moment which catches you off guard, since you now think that you have to check every single crevice, just in case, amplifying your paranoia. Upstairs is even darker than before, with tainted devils lurking in the shadows. All sons and daughters now taken by the hand of Once the other rooms have been cleared, you'll cross a bridge into the next house. Here you'll encounter more suspects and civilians. Once breached, you'll find a small lab, one of many. The lab isn't top quality standard, yet the meth itself seems to be selling well. If you go right, you can enter the attic. Be wary, it is very dark, with many corners of potential adversaries waiting to be hiding and jump scare you. I always find it distressing how quickly a life can be taken. 1 second you'll be walking around the house, and all of a sudden an erratic mental enemy catches you off guard and takes your life away in mere seconds. Seeing your team being taken the same way for the first time is shocking. You spend time crafting a team that you have taken through many events, just for them to slip up once and that's it. That is what makes encountering these individuals in this map specifically intimidating. Due to their unpredictable nature, you can't trust anything. Twisted Nerve has you constantly alert and aware, and if you're not, then you'll be gone. In the attic, you'll find many things like a bust, beds, and teddies, each telling a story. Once you go through the front-facing door, you'll encounter a staircase going down and 2 off rooms on the left. The first one holds yet another meth lab. The second room is yet another grimy bedroom. Downstairs you'll be met with many rooms, but most importantly, the one on the left. This is a major room with even more equipment for cooking. It seems these 2 houses have formed to start a fairly sizable production line for themselves. It seems like they have tons of people squatting in the same houses, not allowing these addicts to escape due to a constant influx of meth. Lives gone down the gutter. You can venture outside, encountering a garage, but upon entering, something strange remains. A massive mine tunnel, absurdly and crudely dug, usually containing a few crackheads down there with sawed-off shotguns. That is Twisted Nerve. Dungy interconnected houses with schizophrenic disturbed drawings scraped on every wall, ragged and trash rooms, feces smeared across all the bathrooms, and users that have become dregs of society, with little chance of redemption in such a horrendous city. One can only hope that these poor souls can get rehab, but it is unlikely. Not here in Los Sueños. Twisted Nerve for me is the main mission that set the tone for the game for things to come. It shook me when discovering the miner, and the meth story only adds up further as we progress. This is where the nightmare begins. Our target is George Brixley, a former army officer who had charges for kidnapping and rape. Now he has set up shop in the most deprived area of Los Sueños called The Row, mimicking Skid Row IRL. George has set up a talent scout agency called Brixley Talent Time with extremely unsettling decor, most importantly this star, which makes you wonder what type of parents would bring their child to this sketchy type of area. He is being investigated for being part of a suspected ring, similarly to our previous catch Michael Williams. We are told by a homeless man reporting to an officer about suspicions of Brixley entering the building with mothers and kids constantly throughout the day. We enter and already see the depravity around. Nobody is here to help solve the homelessness, with trash piling up on the streets, with no one picking it up. Most likely the roadside workers being on strike due to the crime spikes. Outside you'll find tents, with signs talking about a vet bill. We have 3 entry points. First on the right goes through a shop to an outside spot, usually containing a few hired lowlives hired by George Brixley, and a door further along entering the same spot, allowing you to split the teams and overwhelm them. His conscience has clearly got him guilty of all the crimes he's committing with these poor innocent children and the parents he's Brixley's manipulated, that he's hiring low-life scum to protect him. Considering the business is run into the ground with abysmal decor, it isn't rash to assume George is paying these low-life guns with profit made from somewhere else. Now we have a choice to go upstairs and flank downwards to the main hall, or through the back and enter the backstage rooms. On the main entrance we see the name Safe Injection Clinic, once again telling us that drug use is rampant. In the main hall we see a lot of children targeted decoration, but something is offsetting, a vivid emptiness to it. With many rooms to enter, one in particular strikes me as a point of interest. The auditioning room. Plastered all across the walls are children's faces, the same faces that were manipulated, promised to become a future star under Brixley's washed-up talent scouting. These kids look miserable, suggesting that Brixley mistreated them. We know that Brixley is a short-tempered man due to his criminal record, but there is a voiced recording of an audition with a young boy that only further replicates this.
I don't care. Say the line.
I don't want to.
Say the fucking line!
I'm Cowboy George, and this is the wacky wild...
God damn it, no! You know what? Get out of here! Tell your mom to come in!
This shows how he is clearly not fit to be around children, and massively indicates the fact that he's using them for his own game. He doesn't care about these children, he just wants profit, and of course, his own content. In the same room we can find yet more pictures of kids, with paper stars on the ceiling with names of each child, but most disturbingly, a computer with a chat on it, on a MindJot server, with a man under the name of AV, which reads, "Make the little redhead wear a princess dress. Here, gonna get her to smile though. Perfect. She's gonna look great on the cover. Don't worry, I'll get her to smile." Once again, another moment of pure disgust and anguish for these cretins. It was already apparent, but the confirmation only makes it more disturbing. And the worst part? We are ordered to take Brixley alive. As much as the world deserves us to put a bullet through his head, we'll only be punished for doing so. Brixley himself is found wandering around the back, and since he is unarmored, he surrenders fairly easy. However, if you aren't quick enough, he may end his own life. Yet another name tied to the same ring as before, and the picture only just gets bigger. In a main room you'll find a desk. Here you'll see a contract, condoms, alcohol, and figurines doing questionable actions. You can also find more audio recordings that talk about Brixley's history, being a kid in therapy sessions, which indicate that Brixley himself has suffered childhood trauma, guiding him down this forsaken path.
George, my name is Dr. Davis. Nice to meet you. Now, before we get started, you don't have to worry about a thing. Our sessions are all covered.
You see me pulling out my fucking wallet?
Good one. After looking at your history, it looks like you've had some sessions as a child. How did that go?
Fucking stupid. Waste of time, never again.
But you're here now.
Well, Doc, so are you. Looks like neither of us has a choice.
You're good with the snappy one-liners. You could be on TV.
Well, I was on TV a long time ago. When I was a kid, small roles, commercials.
What happened with that? I didn't see anything like that listed in the history.
Wasn't for me.
Why's that?
Doesn't matter. Are we done here?
In Brixley's office, on his desk you'll see a gun, a lot of money and cocaine, but unsurprisingly, a bunch of pictures of illicit content of minors. If you go left you'll go down into a little room and it has a massive stand-up picture of the little kid he was talking to in the voice message. In the same area you'll come across parents. These parents you should feel bad for, as maybe they've been taken advantage of, only taking their kids here for a shot to fame. But the more digging you do, you found out that these parents sold off their kids for a dime, abandoning their kids into a dodgy decrepit agency. They knew it, and they knew it wasn't clean cut, but they did it anyway. Along the walls you'll see writing saying, "Think of the money." A very tempting deal in these parts. Although as you go around, you will hear the parents shouting how they're sorry and they want their kids to be safe. Some even say that they only did it for the money.
Please understand, I did it for the money!
The spider amplifies the feelings from the last two missions, and tells us that this is bigger than anticipated. With this new AV character, we have some more digging to do. But not just that, there are many more problems coming up, such as the vet bill signs from outside. Following up from the meth house, we venture into the next level, Lethal Obsession. Our target is Jared Scott, a mysterious man who opened fire at cops at a station, leaving 3 injured and 3 passed. He is extremely dangerous.
15L32, priority.
15L32, go ahead.
I've got multiple officers down outside of the East McKay station.
Suspect is at large. Location unknown. Get me backup and medics here. Code 3. Get me SWAT.
All units on the channel 15L32 reporting multiple officers down at East McCade Station, requesting backup code 3, unknown location of suspect.
Not much is known about him, except that he used to work for the USIA, which is ReadyOrNot's version of the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. The level is fairly small but condensed, set in a cabin in the woods. There are multiple enemies here, but also traps set around. There are a few ways to clear traps. Peek the door and disarm it, which can risk getting caught if they're outside the door, but using an opti one can help you see if it is safe to peek the door. You can also blow the door down with C2, but make sure you are well away from the door, as it will catch you and your team, and civilians. Finally, you can go around in different exits, as Lethal Obsession has numerous entrances, but through the main door you'll have two hallways, one that leads to a basement and a wraparound back room, and the other one goes upstairs with a few front rooms. There'll usually be suspects around here. These guys don't give up easy, and have many rooms to flank you from. There are two guys wearing gas masks, but funnily enough, CS gas still works on them. They can also travel in between crawl spaces. This is the only mission where there are no civilians present. All you have to do is find Jared. In the kitchen you'll find the only soft objective, stolen federal documents, which links back to his old job. There is also a slideshow of unknown people and places being marked with these intriguing symbols. In a bathroom which expands, you may find many scribblings on the wall with tinfoil everywhere, with connections passing off to somewhere implying he has targets. Traveling upstairs you must be very careful, as there are many vantage points for an enemy to gun you down. I've encountered enemies in every room upstairs, balcony, back room and the main room by the door, usually with a trap up there somewhere. There is a tape that you can find which seems to tell us that Jared suffers with paranoia.
I did everything they asked, everything they wanted. It was never enough. Everywhere I go, they're in control. Masters and slaves. Not out here. Out here, I'm the master. Out here, I'm the one who decides. They'll come here. When they do, I'll show them. They're parasites that are beneath me. I'll crush them like insects. I'll do to them what they did to me.
This is further suggested by the ramblings that we find on the first door, some not making sense, marking the lines of conspiracy, where he seems to talk about injecting a certain slime-like substance into eyes of the public or police, and federals being controlled by a satanic group of the US government. Nonsensical mostly, all the more tells us that he is mentally unwell. This may explain why he suddenly started firing at police at a station.
They'll lie. Say he was a bad man. An evil man. Madman.
He seems to have a massive hatred towards cops and feds. However, equally, not all of these are profound scribbles. Mathematic equations and chemical formulas are scattered around the ramblings, which an individual of higher education would only understand. In fact, he knows a lot about the LSPD, SWAT, and Judge specifically. He also has many boards that suggest that he knows all the weaknesses in a SWAT officer's armor and where to get him to kill him. Nothing is more horrifying than an enemy who knows everything about your way of life. This potentially means he also served as SWAT, or at least worked with Judge before. Jared is equipped with a ghillie suit and no pants before the sensor, using an automatic assault rifle. Next we can venture into the basement. You'll find a wide lab with more ramblings and experimentations. The main thing we will find is ricin and a recipe for an aerosol bomb. Ricin is a deadly poison, which can be used as breathing in a lot of mist or powder. For example, a ricin cigarette, which was used in Breaking Bad. It causes hardness with breathing, fever, coughing, nausea, tightness in the chest, and pulmonary edema, fluid building up in the lungs. As mentioned before, he and his team were trying to craft an aerosol bomb, a thermobaric weapon, or also known as a vacuum bomb, which works by dispersing an aerosol gas cloud, liquid or powder, which then ignites the oxygen around it in a massive chemical combustion of flames. The same bomb used in The Walking Dead. Jared Scott is a very dangerous man. We see his experiments with fauna with tons of empty animal cages around, but thankfully he didn't quite have enough time to test it on humans. This mission shows how dangerous a man can be, left at his own devices. Starting off as a mysterious man shooting at cops, to a paranoid genius working on deadly poison and bombs with great knowledge on people. The next mission is Ides of March, which is the occasion where Julius Caesar was assassinated. This takes place in a penthouse, and we encounter a new group named the Left Behind. These are a group of delusional angry veterans who have formed a domestic terrorist group. They have taken hostages and plan an assassination. The target is Senator Fremont, who is proposing a bill which would severely harm veteran funding. This includes hospital bills, mobility, household support, etc. With the rising of poverty and a lack of work ethic in Los Sueños, this bill passing would destroy these people's lives, so they've took it into their own hands to change it. These men are heavily armed with body armor, ARs and light machine guns. They also have prosthetic limbs. Up until this point, we haven't come across anyone this well geared up. 6 casualties have already been taken prior to our arrival, including a senator who is in critical condition. We get a call from a standbyer saying,
"We need the police. I'm at Memorial Park. Someone just shot Senator Fremont."
Okay.
Our objectives are to locate 2 sniper rifles, find the music producer, and a retired Navy officer. And we are notified there are traps scattered around the map once again.
Suspects are heavily barricaded, may have planted traps in multiple areas on site.
So I insist that you check every door. It caught me off guard too many times. The Left Behind is a tragic group. Their actions are wrong, however, in their positions, you understand their actions and anger. What they want is justice. Upon entry, we have 2 doors in front. The second door occasionally has a trap, possibly ending your run insanely quick. There are many rooms that you can tackle, so diversity of your attack plan is abundant. Be wary, however, since each run has a slight map change. Certain doors may be open with suspects ready to engage. Clearing safety with a squad is ideal. Another thing about this game which I loved, it made me learn basic CQB. I learned how to pie scan a room with just my friend, but the game also allows you to do this with your AI team. The game wants you to be methodical and tactical, not like you're playing Call of Duty. It is easy to mistake this game as a military-ish simulation, since the operations you take on are far above the pay grade of a SWAT police enforcer, but that's due to the situation Los Sueños is in, forcing these underpaid and undertrained policemen for situations that usually would be tackled by a more federal team or even military. Be wary as there are often a patrol of 1 or 2 vets along the hallway, so make sure you have your eyes front, back and both sides. The choice is yours, but there are 4 main apartment rooms and a central bar main room, which resides in the centre of the map, usually containing a few suspects and civs, but it is an easy flanking spot for both you and suspects. I usually wedge the doors to this room after I've cleared it, to stop any suspects from running through it and flanking me from behind or hiding away. Room 1204 in particular trips me up, as there's so many enemies that could be hiding behind things. It seems like each major room consistently has suspects inside. Within room 1201 and 1204, you'll find 2 sniper rifles, in which one has already been shot by the bullet cracking the glass. Scattered across the rooms, you'll see the same signs found outside Brixley's Talent Time, vet build. These are the vigilantes taking it into their own hands. They are super stacked with weapons and loads of caches everywhere in both rooms. You'll also find injured civilians around the map. Room 1201 connects into 1202, which may contain the music producer. Be wary, as the outdoor section can be shot through by suspects outside, and the doors can be trapped, leaving you in the dodgy situation of either fighting through limited visual cover or trying to disarm a trap while being shot at. Room 1204 is similar to the other 2, as it connects with room 1203, where you'll find a retired Navy officer with a very cool room. Finally, you have the central room, with a lot of room to cover and to get shot at, so take it carefully. Ides of March shows us a confliction between 2 bads. The Left Behind are wrong in their actions, but it is understandable while it takes such drastic measures. It makes us think. Sinuous Trail is following off 23 megabytes a second, and has similarities with Brixley Talent Time's discoveries. If we go back, we will remember Michael Williams' chat logs stated a certain company, MindJot, who have been selling these private servers for these people to discuss this awful stuff without getting into any problems. Mindjot is a data storage facility which was found as the distributor of the illicit content by scrubbed IDs. Our goal here is to take on the highest security guard in this place, and they are rampant. And it is important to note that the business is going under, with technology going down shown by blue screens around the gaff, meaning if there's money to get, then they'll surely take it. Upon entry into the waiting room, you may encounter suspects right off the bat. In this map, there are a lot of crossing open doors and halls, so it's important to flashbang big rooms and clear every small room before continuing. You then have 4 entrances. Behind the desk, you can find a poster saying that there has been fake police coming in. Civilians and suspects also talk about robberies occurring often in this building by people who are dressed as police, which actually took lives, which explains such high usage of guns. On the computer, you can also see an article talking about the Michael Williams situation. With loads of off rooms to clear, you'll come across 2 storage rooms, 1 minor and 1 major server room, which links back to the private servers they've been handing out to these people, such as William. The goal is simple: to put down the operation of Mindjot and seize it, putting an end to Michael's acquaintance connections to these servers, perhaps. You may also find some people either outside or on top of the rooftops, but other than that, it's a lot of gunfighting. Ends of the Earth is a quick small map, but the story behind it is depressing and local, an issue some people may unfortunately relate to. This is the Tran residence. Our suspects are 3 brothers, An Tran, Tao Tran, Vin Tran, and their good friend Diego Perez, living in the home of their parents, Peter Tran, the father, and Hua Nguyen, the mother, who is severely ill with cancer. The brothers are struggling to support their terminally ill mother with medication, so they've turned to illegal weapons manufacturing. They take semi-automatic weapons and modify them to fully automatic to maximize damage. The parents actually know this, and they are ashamed. They've even gone so far to go into the police and reporting it. However, what actually gave us the tip was a suspicious 911 caller.
What's your emergency?
Oh, yeah. I don't have one, but I think you need to send someone to 128 Windy Coast Drive in Kauai.
Sir, if you don't have an emergency, I'm gonna have to ask you to hang up.
Fine, but make sure you pass this through. Someone is modifying and selling illegal weapons through that address. 128 Windy Coast Drive in Kauai. You should send someone to check it out.
Can I take your name, please, sir?
No, just send someone to that address. That'll teach him.
Sir?
Oh, fuck.
This call is very questionable. A random man not wanting to give away his name, snitching on these boys. And the final line, "That'll teach him," tells us that this person has had an issue with these boys, and maybe something deeper is hiding. The story is devastating and complex on a moral scale, since the boys are trying to help the mother through the pain. However, going down a dishonourable path causes their family to be disgusted in these actions. If you get into a gunfight with the brothers, there's a chance that the parents will see this, as they wander around the house often. A true predicament. However, we are here to do our job. There aren't too many guns in this map. They hide very well, using cracks in the walls and crawling under shelves to ambush or flank, with a lot of rooms to clear, and the stairs usually being a dangerous spot to climb due to how many rooms surround it. It's advisable to split teams and throw bangs on both sides. I've noticed that they spawn in different spots frequently, but there's always someone by a room above the stairs and in the basement waiting. The map itself sells well, as it's simply a normal house. It is challenging to see how far a family can step the line in their own code of morale. Upstairs in the attic you'll find where they manufacture these guns. In a bedroom you'll find a bag of cash overflowing, and on computers you'll see screens to buy gun parts. It's a quick mission, but once you think about it, it becomes one of the most wounding, depressing missions in the game. Once you complete it, you can find evidence in HQ, an old picture of these parents smiling. Something about it is heart-wrenching. If you flip it over, there's a message in Vietnamese. With a rough translation, it reads, "Children, never forget the stories of war and what we have endured to have a better life, away from violence. I hope that the measures will soon stop what they are doing. Your father does not want to see any more. We do not want you suffering and have to face prison." A final message, hammering in the detail that these parents knew what these boys were doing, and in their brain they thought they were doing a good deed, but despite that, the parents were ashamed. the mission which is the bane of my existence. S ranking and hard difficulty destroyed me on this. It is truly one of the most difficult maps in the game. We are breaching a postal service and a factory. It was manufacturing weapons for a gang named the Los Locos, the same people the Tran brothers were manufactured to, which leads to our prime goal: apprehend a Pfizer agent, which is the equivalent of FBI, Jack Adams, who has been aiding this operation. Pfizer want him back alive. Additionally, there are 2 civilians who are presumed to be working with Adams, but it started off a normal day at work for these people until they heard gunshots.
911, this call is being recorded. What is your emergency?
I'm inside the Los Sueños Postal Service in East Los Sueños, and near the airport. There's someone shooting here.
Okay, sir. What happened?
I'm an employee here, packaged quality assurance. I was on the conveyor line when someone started firing a gun near the front of the building. Then this kid came running out of nowhere. He was fucking leaking. I ran over to him and saw he had a gun, so I took off.
A kid? Sir, are there children on scene?
No, a kid, meaning a young guy. He was wearing all red, speaking in Spanish. I'm pretty sure he's dead. Oh shit! Hello? More guys with guns. They came through the warehouse just now. Fuck this, I'm out of here.
You have many entrances to go through. Main entrance which leads through the main room, back room, and leads to the factory. Or you can go around the left and flank around the outside. Additionally, you can go right into the staff room, which then leads into the factories. I appreciate the versatility of attack options in this map, because it sure did make me use them. There are a lot of guns on this map, usually done in body armor and ARs. Through the main room and back room, you may come across civilians and suspects. In my experience, these suspects surrender quite easily since they're caught off guard. Venturing through, you can then go left and go outside, or continue forward into the factory. Let's go left, in which you'll encounter a few guns outside. It can get a bit techie out here, with a lot of trolleys obscuring your vision, and the AI's aimbot really shows on this map. You may find yourself getting fired at without you knowing where from. Venturing further outside, you'll find quite a few suspects. It is also possible for the Pfizer agent to be located out here. I usually throw a flashbang over this truck to daze quite a few suspects, as this area is quite compact with a lot of aggressors, but also the door frame to the inside of the factory is open for people to fire at you whilst you're distracted. Out here there is a soft objective in a truck, a weapon cache, no doubt made by these people. Going inside, you'll enter a factory. Be very careful, as mentioned before, the AI has laser sights, which your human vision struggles to differentiate a box on a conveyor belt or a suspect. It'll be too late, since you'll be getting shot at by all angles. You can either go left, forward and right. If you go right, you'll find a Pfizer office, another possible spawn for Agent Adams. He will also fire at you, but if separated, he will surrender when dazed or outnumbered. Once you arrest him, you may recognize his voice.
Be fair to us, we'll be fair to you.
Yes, he is the one that called us on the Tran Boys. Now it all makes sense. Adams saw the Tran Boys as a threat to his production, since they are performing quite well. As an insecure man with a horrendous haircut, he snitched on them to us, which explains why he didn't identify himself and hung up abruptly, also with that weird cryptic message at the end. Now you can go through the factory, and as said before, there are a lot of gaps where people can shoot you from without you even knowing they were there. The environment is very tricky to navigate, but also identify. Once you've cleared that, you can enter the staff room, which may or may not have some stragglers from previous gunfights, but also can have people spawn here. They like coming around from corners, so a riot shield or a flashbang would be pretty good, especially outside. I found Grease Palms more of a challenging operation rather than a map with deep lore. However, that is not the same for this next one. One of the most truly diabolical, disgraceful, nauseating level in the game. After taking down the distributor of the prolific ring, we know the suspect of the man profiting from it. Remember the name AV from Brixley Talent Time? The guy talking to Brixley about this, well, this is Amos Vol, a vile creature preying on the young. He is incredibly rich, which explains the house, but also the security he's packing called Bolton Security. They don black suits with some wearing body armor with submachine guns and pistols. While they look professional, they are really just some more corrupt guns, very expensive ones at that. Amos Vol is housing an 18th birthday party for his daughter, Janie Vol. She has all of her friends over, but some uninvited guests. What Janie doesn't know is what her father is up to. Amos Vol is an adult film producer, but by being linked to Brixley, we have a warrant for his arrest. Our objectives are to arrest Vol and find his office computer, along with bringing order to chaos and rescuing civilians. As we enter, there are two paths. However, I find it best to work top to bottom. Entering the master living room, you'll probably come across some of Bolton's security suits and civilians. The These guys will shoot and pack a little heat, but the difficulty from this mission seems to be a bit more being outnumbered or shot through windows. You can get them to surrender fairly easy, as some of them say the lines are like,
I don't know anything. I'm just like you.
You may also encounter Vol's wife, Daniela Vol. Daniela is also a prolific who stars in many of Amos's films. She doesn't admit to knowing exactly what Amos gets up to, but she is adamant that he is a good man. She is usually found running around the back between the bathroom and the master bedroom. Now, if we look at the massive TV, we'll find a paused video of Daniela Vol. From the layout of the video and judging by Amos's career, it's most likely a but here's where it gets a bit techie. She looks very young here, and as you can see, there's a date which says the 2nd of the 23rd, 2011, which we can assume is the date of the video that it was recording on. However, if we look into Daniela Vol's briefing, we can see that she was born on February the 10th, 1994. If we do some calculations here, the age of Daniela Vol in this video would have been 17 years old, which is under the legal age of consent in California being 18 years old. In the bio it says she got married to Amos 10 years ago, and Daniela being in her late 20s to early 30s, it's easy to imagine the dynamic of this relationship, considering Amos Vol is in his late 30s and early 40s. It sets in focus how dirty this man is, and how he manipulates everybody he knows, most specifically his daughter, but she doesn't even know that yet. You'll find loads of posters for X-rated films made by Amos himself. In the master bedroom you'll find a lot of trophies, including this one I literally cannot show you, but if you move to the bed you'll find stains and cameras, with cocaine and alcohol on the drawers, no doubt related to the shoots with Amos and Daniela, and judging by the substances surrounding the bed, it's likely it was made via abuse of intoxication. But also on the bed we'll find prohibited videotapes of minors, displaying them on a bed like a trophy, as if he is proud of it like his other ones, a sick, deranged man whose story can make your blood boil. Going down the hall you'll find a bedroom, a gym and a downstairs. There may be enemies here, but down the stairs you must take care, as there may be someone at the bottom of the stairs, but also the massive escaping window on your right can have enemies aggro you, and if you're caught in the right spot, they can annihilate you. On the second hand, if you spot someone else first, then you can take out the threat without getting into much of a fight. The next room is also dangerous for similar reasons. Underneath, both left and right, and outside, by the windows, are all possible enemies to spawn and attack you from all sides. The first room along will bring you through a bedroom and a bar, and eventually into Amos's Vol's office. You may find the cretin himself in this room. He does have a pistol, he's an unarmored man, and you do need to take him alive for the mission complete. However, I wouldn't fault you for accidentally misfiring into his skull. On his desk you'll find his computer and a hard drive. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you what's on it at this point, but outside you'll find a pile of burning evidence. Who knows what else it was hiding.
Pick up, you fucking asshole. I'm in deep shit here and it's all your fault. They booked me and I need a lawyer. You got me into this, now you get me out.
Sweeping around the house, you'll come across many civilians who came to enjoy the birthday party, but also there'll be a lot of security downstairs. If you venture outside, you'll find a bunch of presents and stands celebrating, but you'll notice something a bit out of place. A poll asking for feet pictures at an 18-year-old birthday party. How nobody saw the signs of this is beyond me, but you'll also find a message on the bar saying you cannot legally drink if you're under 18. Legally, which is underlined, hinting that Amos will do it anyway, giving alcohol to underage teenagers. It should be noted again that Janie Vol has no idea what her dad is doing. Sweeping outside and downstairs, you'll find a staircase outside that goes down to a basement. It's dark and off-putting, with a distant red hue emanating the place. You'll find some enemies in here in each room, but the rooms themselves hold something much worse. I want you right now to think about the innocence that a child bears and hold that thought. You'll find crude out-of-place scribbles with chalks, like hopscotch, which is in a completely unconventional playground for a kid. And the room on the left will lead you into a room that makes your hair stand up. A red room teeming with pictures of children, similar to Brixley's, but this time it's on full show. A vast collection of images. It's sickening. All these kids being innocent, happy souls, now abused, and that chance for a healthy, happy life ripped out of their grasp. Entering the connected room on the end, you'll then come across a room, widescaping mirage of no other than Amos Vol's very own daughter, Janie Vol. A shrine with film, presumably with videos of Janie, and a bedroll, which he most likely pleasured himself on in this disgraceful, idolized room. She doesn't even know about this room, which only makes it worse, with messages on the wall like soft, innocent and virgin. A must fall, most bottom-feeding leeches and inconceivably evil vermin to walk the world of Los Sueños. But it doesn't end here. The room straight ahead holds a child-style bedroom with an abundance of candy, but on the next room over is a desolate, depressing room with stagnant air blooming its atmosphere. You'll notice a hole in the ground. Laid inside of it are numerous barrels. It is apparent that these barrels contain corpses, and judging by all the children clothes and toys on top of them, we can assume that these barrels do in fact contain children corpses, manipulated, abused and killed, dumped away with no say. Valley of the Dolls is that mission, where you finally understand how bad things have gotten. The fact that a man can stray this far gone with a family is absurd, and how there is a chain of command below him following in his footsteps. This level is curdling. I have never had a more visceral, cerebral reaction when playing a video game than I did when I entered the basement for the first time. Los Sueños is lost, and it cannot be recovered. Souls lost to the chaos, becoming the pinnacle of evil, with no chance of redemption. This is the mission that you've most likely have heard of before even ever playing the game. The mission that started ReadyOrNot's controversy. Set in a community college, we have had many haunting calls from students from the college about shooters.
911, this call is being recorded. What is your emergency? What is your emergency?
I need help.
Can you tell me what's wrong?
I'm hiding. There's blood. So much blood.
Okay, I'm going to need you to stay calm. Do you know where you are?
No, they don't.
No, I mean, where are you?
Hiding in a cupboard. They came in and just started shooting.
Okay, that's good. Where's the cupboard?
In a classroom.
You're doing great. So you're at school. Which school?
What college? Please, come help me. I don't want to die.
I need you to stay calm. The police are on their way, okay? They are on their way. Stay where you are.
I don't want to. Please don't let me die.
Stay calm. Remain where you are. Is the shooter nearby?
I don't know. Don't make me look.
Ma'am, I'm not asking you to do anything of the sort. Stay where you are.
Oh, God.
Ma'am?
They're coming back.
Stay calm. I'm right here with you.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. No, please, no!
There are 4 of them, but they've also set up 2 propane bombs around the college. This mission's dynamic is a bit different than the previous missions. This one is against the clock. You have got a lot on your plate with not a lot of time to do so. You have 2 bombs to defuse with unique spawning locations on each run, with 4 shooters who will start shooting student hostages if you take too long. ReadyOrNot likes to throw new stuff at you with each operation, but this one is a huge jump. You must be quick on your feet and precise with your clearing, as checking the wrong room for too long could cost you and everyone else. And the layout of this level doesn't help you. With many hallways with sprawling classrooms, it can be overwhelming when you know you've only got a few more minutes left. Now from the outside and the inside, you may recognize some architectural similarities with the Columbine High School, with the similar circular glass windows to the insides all usher that uncanny feel of the Columbine High School. It's clear Void took inspiration from the horrible event to craft this map, and it really gives off a haunting feel to it, with blood trails across the holes, the scrambling bags left on chairs, with the books split across the ground as they ran for their lives. The mission really has a unique and harrowing feel to it. Upon entry, you may find a main hall with an injured security guard who has been shot. Lucky to be alive, I'd say. There are a lot of classrooms that you'll come across, with 2 wings of the school, an upstairs and a downstairs with an outside, so you'll also have a lot of ground to cover. Suspects should be your first priority, as they start shooting quicker than it takes for the bombs to explode. They can spawn in many different classrooms and halls, but after a few runs you'll you'll notice their spawn points, like outside the lecture halls, any classrooms, by the kitchen, hallways, or even by the staircase. Once you encounter them, you'll notice they're quite well armed, prepared heavily for the situation, with fully automatic rifles and body armor. Looking at the shooters, you may also notice that the shooter's getup is once again reminiscent of the Columbine massacre, sporting backwards caps, vests, short-sleeved tops, and cargo jeans, once again building the uncomfortable feeling Elephant gives us. You'll find so many students who are fearing for their lives, and every few rooms you'll come across them. It adds a lot seeing these victims run around whilst active shooters are still at large. It adds an element of panic, but leaving the civilians till last I would recommend, as they'll be in danger if the suspects remain, and such is the bomb. There are 2 propane bombs, an improvised explosive usually made from easy access items from a supermarket, which is quite scary to think about. Similarly to the suspects, they spawn in different locations on each run. I would disarm the bombs after the suspects, as it has a longer grace period than the suspects do. However, it can be a challenge to find the bombs in time, especially for the first time. Unfortunately, this is mostly trial and error. Glow sticks are fantastic for this map, as you can put them down in rooms cleared, so you don't waste precious time looking at pre-used rooms. The map is both a horrifying concept, but also a mortifying reality. Merging real-world problems and virtual chaos is ReadyOrNot's specialty. The map feels grim to venture. With all the blood and ramble classrooms, you can't help but feel awful. It's artfully done for a map to make you feel like this. The college feels real, with all these little details making it feel like a ghastly place to be in. But we learn a lesson. Los Sueños hasn't just corrupted the minds of adults, but also the youth are being purged by evil as well. Young souls lost to corruption. We move to the Mexican border, to a stash house. Remaining members of the Los Locos gang are trying to escape the US. The same guys from Grease Palms and End of the Earth. A gang with affiliation with the Mexican cartel. There are 2 levels in this map. The outside ground floor, where you'll find 2 barns and a house. Here you'll come across civilians. These gangs are probably coyotes, helping smuggle Mexican migrants across the border. In the house you'll potentially come across some more Los Locos by a strange door that's been dug in. Room along you'll find a dedicated shrine to Virgin Mary. And on the right, a table of Mexican passports, reinforcing the Los Locos being coyotes. Now that door I mentioned, entering it will bring you down to a very, very large dug tunnel. This is where the Los Locos are planning to escape through. Here's where you'll come across most of the suspects. It's close combat with narrow halls, so canted sight and a competent close combat gun will be very good here, checking each corner as you go. They have a standard morale, so they can give up normally, but in numbers they are quite dangerous, using automatic rifles and pistols. Paths split off but meet at the same point, and on the left you'll find ancient looking walls with old drawings. Getting yourself through the vast tunnels would be fairly challenging, as there are a lot of suspects, but once you get through the final room it's unnatural looking. Jagged rocks on the ceiling piercing downwards. A wild desolate cave with more Los Locos down here hiding behind cover, which makes a change now. It's a bit more range fighting. Once you clear them out, you'll find a lake at the end with an exfiltration boat, alongside guns and other goods. This is where they've been trafficking goods and people. However, on the docks you'll see 2 glows. You may think they're lights, but no, they blinked. What is this creature? We don't know. If you want to get philosophical, it could be the demons of Los Sueños influencing the people, stalking and watching its doing from afar. But I guess we'll never know. Just one day after the attempted hit on Senator Fremont in Ides of March, the senator's family has been relocated for protection, but a new faction of rogue Secret Service agents, deep cover operatives aligned with the extremist group The Left Behind, which you may remember from Ides of March. They infiltrated the security detail and seizes Fremont's entire floor. Their plan is to broadcast a forced confession and execution of the family, turning Fremont's downfall into propaganda. D Platoon is called in under a stormy Los Sueños morning to stop the coup, rescue the family, and neutralize the hostiles before the broadcast begins. The penthouse itself is a very decorated, multi-tiered kill box. The lower level connects to a hotel corridor entry to foyers, lounges, and bedrooms, full of tight stacks of doors and long cross halls that invite ambushes. The upper level adds more private quarters and an atmospheric home cinema, an unsettling reminder of the family's wealth and vulnerability. This verticality forces us to think about the line of sight and sequencing. Move too quickly and you'll be flanked from above. Move too slowly and the suspects will gun down civilians. civilians. They take hostages quite quick on this map, and there are a lot of suspects. Unlike gangsters or street-level militants in the other missions, these enemies are trained professionals, Secret Service defectors with military backgrounds. They fight smart, hold angles, and use the hotel's long sight lines to lethal effect. The briefing even warns that unlike earlier encounters, suspects here are much more dangerous at range, forcing us to close distance decisively rather than trade fire. Layered into this tactical challenge are terrified civilians, staff, and the 6 Fremont family members themselves. Michael Fremont, the senator's son, is the one who managed to get a distress call out before the siege tightens. So you arrive knowing that the family is alive, but seconds away from becoming hostages, or maybe worse. The mission is a turning point, raising the stakes far beyond isolated terror attacks. The Fremont saga evolves from this single assassination attempt to an all-out campaign against the senator's family, exposing corruption and treason made from trusted institutions. Even the mission's title, Sins of the Father, resonates with both Fremont's political baggage and the legacy of violence passed down from past eras of Los Sueños. With blood smeared all over the walls, they're sending a message. By the time you've cleared the last room, it's clear. This isn't just a hostage rescue. It's the unraveling of the Fremont family's entire world, and a glimpse into the depth of rot within the system you're sworn to protect. Remember, you're just following orders. Men like Fremont are the ones controlling you. Perhaps the safest, though slower, approach is a roof insertion. Clearing endowments from the upper penthouse, this method ensures no suspects remain above you, eliminating the chance of being flanked from overhead. The upper level contains bedrooms and the cinema, which can hide both armed hostiles and terrified civilians. Once the top floor is secured, you can descend into the foyer and sweep the lower level with confidence, knowing that you're not going to get flanked from above or behind, knowing that your rear is safe. The trade-off is that descending through the stairwells and choke points requires careful sequences of flashbangs and communication to avoid walking into crossfire. No matter the entry choice, certain principles apply. The penthouse's long sight lines means that trading shots is rarely favourable, instead relying on tactical devices to break angles and force suspects into close combat. Wedges are invaluable for locking down unused doors in the many unconnected suites, preventing backfills and ambushes. Civilians are a constant hazard. Panicked family members and hotel staff may bolt into hallways mid-firefight, so positive identification is critical. Make sure you aren't shooting any civilians. This map is also trapped. By now you should know how to check them, but since we haven't seen them in a little while, you may forget, so making sure you check every door is also one way to ensure your survival. This penthouse is hostile, and so are the Left Behind. But with the Left Behind's goal shut down, that's one more thing we can take off the list. You may have been too caught up in the chaos and focused all your attention on the vast amount of evil mentioned prior, which is simply too much for a simple SWAT team to take care of, but you did it. You took down a CP ring, you took care of illegal weapon manufacturers, meth labs, domestic terror groups, but whilst you was all distracted, something else was brewing up in the back. Those eagle-eyed among you may have found articles and news reports talking about rising tensions between the United States of America and Yemen. The truth is that the US sent airstrikes to a village in northern Yemen, which housed a well-known terrorist organization, which has many cells globally, including the USA. These are the Hand. The Hand enacted a retaliation due to the airstrikes and civilian casualties. Sound familiar? We get 911 calls that are distraughting and disturbing to the ears. A nightclub has been shot up by terrorist cells, the Hand. In retaliation, they went to a crowded nightclub and opened fire, sending people into absolute pandemonium. Take a listen.
911, this call is being recorded. What is your emergency?
Shooting everybody! Run! Run! Over here! Over here!
Ma'am? Are you there? Ma'am?
Oh, hi! Shit! Oh my god! Yes! Help us! You need to help us! They're shooting us all!
Where are you, ma'am?
Neon! You know, the nightclub. Oh shit, they're coming this way. No, stop! Stay away!
Haunting, hearing the panic screams trying to escape. This is potentially the most dangerous operation we've entered thus far. The Hand are out for blood and won't give up easy. In the truck, they say,
Intimate! We walk in the path, brothers. Kadoma has never failed us. Remember the ones you lost in Midi. This is for them. They bring war to us. We bring war to them. Have no fear. This night is for Al-Zubair, for Midi, and for all people of Great Yemen.
Once we deploy, we instantly see piles and piles of dead bodies. No building into it, just thrown straight into the massacre. Bouncers, partygoers, all in one unidentifiable pile. Feelings of sonder fill you. Everyone here finished their days of work and organised plans to go out clubbing with their mates after a long week. And this is where it got them. The nightclub is full of wondrous neon lights, ushering a good time, but littered everywhere is yet again more bodies. There is nowhere that you can go where there isn't a pile of corpses. We are also looking for a man named Quadama. You will find some suspects, and they are geared up with ceramic body armor, some with full ballistic masks, meaning higher caliber is appropriate for this mission. They usually pack heavily, ranging from light machine guns RPDs to rifles like MK18s, G3A3, and also other high-powered rifles, even submachine guns like Uzis. They tend to be a bit more hesitant and defiant to give up. I struggled hard to S-rank this level. They have not got a lot to lose. Venturing into the red reception room, you may find a suspect or a civilian. Sometimes you'll encounter a civilian with a bomb strapped to them. They scream in panic. You don't have to disarm it, presumably a bomb squad will arrive when the op is done, but it shows how far the hand will go for revenge. Leaving the room, you'll see yet another pile of bodies in a corner, but with the name Quadama spray painted in yellow, which seems to be the hand's main colour. This is a calling card to send a message. The nightclub is a very, very large map, with many off rooms and 2 floors, scoping out widely. Charging through, you may find a new enemy, a bomber. They'll run towards you and self-destruct. They have a very high morale, so if you want to make them surrender, you best have some non-lethals. They can be very dangerous, as if they get the drop on you, it leaves you very little time to survive. You'll stumble across the main dance floor, and once again it is just a stockpile of bodies. The amount of corpses is hard to comprehend. As you trek past, you'll hear vibrations. These are the phones ringing, hundreds of phone calls all at once, with worried loved ones on the receiving end, anxiously waiting for them to pick up. As said before, the map is very large, with a lot of rooms to find suspects. It's good to take it slow, as there are a lot of corners, particularly upstairs by the bar, with a lot of walls blocking your vision, or the balcony, which is a vantage point to get shot at by many angles. Neon Tomb is shocking to go through, sickening to think anything like this would ever happen, but it did. Void drew heavy inspiration from the real-life Pulse nightclub shooting. A man named Omar Mateen, who opened fired in Pulse nightclub, taking 49 lives and injuring 53 others. He was later killed by police forces in a shootout. His motivations were very similar to Neon Tomb, an act of revenge.
Emergency 911, this is Oscar Lines being recorded.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
What?
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. I want to let you know I'm in Orlando, and I did the shooting.
What's your name?
My name is, I pledge of allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi of the Islamic State. By the way, there's some vehicles outside that have some bombs, just to let you know. Your people are going to get it, and I'm going to ignite it if they try to do anything stupid.
Okay, I understand that, and I'll pass that along. Can you tell me what vehicle? Because I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
No. Well, you need to know that they need to stop bombing Syria and Iraq. The U.S. is collaborating with Russia, and they're killing innocent women and children, okay?
I hear what you're saying.
My homeboy Tamerlan Tsarnaev did his thing on the Boston Marathon. My homeboy Munir Abu Salha did his thing, okay? So now it's my turn, okay?
What makes Ready or Not's points heavier is the drawls that they'll take from real life. Los Sueños isn't a fantasy. This could be reality. Buy Cheap Buy Twice is set inside Caesar's car dealership, a seemingly ordinary business that is actually a front for organised crime. The garage is cluttered with repair bays, equipment and tight angles, an ideal place for traffickers to stash contraband. The car lot, meanwhile, is wide open and dangerous, full of parked vehicles that can create partial cover but exposure to long sightlines. The mission's design deliberately shifts between tight interior clearances and broad open environments, forcing you to constantly adjust tactics. Our targets here here are a coalition of Los Locos gang members and Russian mafia affiliates, all working together to smuggle weapons and most likely people. These groups are not just petty criminals, but part of a larger network that has already been linked to illegal arms trafficking in Los Sueños. They are well armed, aggressive, and numerous. There are 15 suspects in total, and among the chaos, 5 civilians are present. 2 undercover detectives have been investigating the dealership from the inside. One of them never made them out. You'll spend a lot of your time on this map looking for suspects and taking them down, and this is one of the more challenging maps as well, since there's a lot of little tight angles for them to shoot you at, but also overwhelm you with the amount of guys that they have, as you gotta remember they are well equipped. In the offices, you can find trafficking documentation on a desk, evidence that directly ties Caesar's operation to wider arms deal across the city. This means we've come across something brand new, which is actually wider spanning than we first thought. In the garage, there are weapon caches hidden among the equipment, further proof that the dealership is a major node in the supply chain. You'll also find a lot of shredded paperwork in the offices. Now if you venture upstairs, we can find the undercover detective, but when you actually see him, it's clear to us that, well, it didn't really go to plan, and it's a grim reminder to show us how far these gangs will go to protect their operations. Overall, this mission is just dipping our toes into the operations of this Russian mob. We found the starting of the operations, and we get a little teaser into what they've been up to. Buy Cheap Buy Twice is more than just a bust of a shady dealership. It's the first real glimpse of the city's organised trafficking underworld, where gangs and foreign syndicates cooperate to funnel weapons and people through legitimate businesses. This again is a real issue that has happened now and again. Stores, restaurants, all these type of public domains are actually harbouring these money launderers and criminals. The presence of the undercover detective shows that law enforcement already suspected the Caesar operation, but their failure highlights just how entrenched and dangerous these groups are. Considering this is the first time we've come across the Russian mob, this is our first taster of how they really act. By uncovering documents and caches, you directly connect the missions to the wider arc of Los Sueños systemic corruption. What starts in a car dealership lot eventually ties into senators, cartels, and global smuggling rings. The title itself, Buy Cheap Buy Twice, is darkly ironic. It reflects both the dealership's sleazy marketing front and the bloody cost of cutting corners in a city where power is bought with bullets. It's yet another underground crime found, and it's all getting out of hand. Carriers of the Vine is one of the most unsettling missions in Ready or Not. The compound itself is sprawling, composed of several distinct zones that make the operation feel like a siege against an entrenched cult. At the centre lies a large courtyard, the scene of the initial call for help. Officer Garcia is reported pinned down here, though her ultimate fate is ambiguous. Around the court, there are main structures, a farmhouse-style residence, a chapel with a bell tower, and various outbuildings of burial, scattered across the vineyard property. The old style to this place just feels very, very different to any other place we've been to, and it's off-putting. The chapel dominates the environment both visually and tactically. It's a looming tower, allowing cultists to fire down at you with lethal precision. This is where I found myself getting annihilated half the time when I went into the courtyard. Additionally, if you do get onto this watchtower, vice versa works for you. Interior sections are dense and winding, filled with small rooms, cellars, and greenhouses that amplify the sense of claustrophobia. Everything is so close together, and you never know what's going to come running around the corner in the next room. While the outdoors are marked by eerie ritual sites, graves, and a massive goddess tree, whose roots form a disturbing effigy of a nude female figure. The enemies here are members of the Carriers of the Vine, a radical misandrous cult led by former USIA agent Elaine Raskin and her priestess lieutenant Eve Nader. They wear distinctive garbs, most in white dresses with sandals, short bleached hair or piercings, while the leaders stand out with crimson robes, some even wearing masks. They are heavily armed with battle rifles like the FAL and M14, along with SMGs and shotguns, giving them surprising range and stopping power. Unlike street gangs or disorganized thugs, these cultists fight with almost professional precision. The fanaticism makes them some of the most deadly opponents in the game. They are not simply criminals, but believers who view their deaths as sacrifices. The Carriers of the Vine are perhaps the darkest group in Ready or Not. Originally born from a woman's shelter called Carried from Crisis LSC, the group twisted over the years into a militant cult after its closure in 2016. Their ideology mixes feminist extremism, pagan rituals, and blood sacrifice. Men, especially abusers or those with histories of violence, are targeted for ritual killings beneath the chapel, their deaths believed to feed the cult's goddess. The unsettling goddess effigy carved into the tree roots inside the chapel embodies this distorted spirituality. The only soft objective in the mission is a conspiracy room, with loads of pictures of men, presumably sex offenders, who have harmed these women before. The cult's leader, Elaine Raskin, has a background in intelligence operations, suggesting possible ties between her methods and experiments experimental programs hinted at somewhere else in the Los Sueños narrative, very similar to Lethal Obsession. The cult also has vague connections to trafficking and systemic abuse, creating thematic overlaps with other missions that expose how corruption and violence in the city gave rise to extremist responses. This mission feels like a mirror image of law enforcement failure, a protective sanctuary that metastasized into a death cult. From a gameplay perspective, the Vineyard compound demands very careful, methodical tactics. The first danger comes from elevated firing positions, snipers in the bell towers which can shred your team if not neutralized quickly. Additionally, you've got the interior, which are all very small rooms, which can be very dangerous considering that some of these cultists do indeed have shotguns. Similarly to the interior, there's a downstairs cellar, which again is very close. Only after securing the interiors really should you methodically move through the burial grounds, gardens, and chapel cellars, where you'll discover the cult's most disturbing rituals. Around the burial grounds you'll find graveyards. Next to it you'll come across this mysterious, creepy looking building. This is where the rituals take place. You'll find a plethora of them. This is a potential place to find Eve Nada. In here you'll find the big statue of this goddess. Very eerie, and it towers you, dominating you. Everything about this area just feels very off and somewhat supernatural. If you shoot the statue enough times, it will get very angry with you. Take a listen.
Elaine gave us closure. Looking for your friend? How do you know they're still around?
Carriers of the Vine is as much horror as it is tactical. The sound design, whispers in the chapel, echoes of unseen voices, blurs the line between psychological manipulation and supernatural dread. The fact that Officer Garcia is never actually found alive adds a further layer of mystery. Was her call a lure, or did she perish before the help arrived? The cult's origins as a shelter gone wrong highlight ReadyOrNot's recurrent theme of failed institutions and the corruption of good intentions, and the presence of former intelligence agents at the head suggests that the same networks enabling gangs and trafficking rings may also be birthing domestic cults and radical groups. By the time the mission is complete, you aren't just clearing a vineyard, you've exposed one of the city's deepest undercurrents, a community broken by trauma, radicalized into blood-soaked fanatism, and powerful enough to draw in both ordinary victims and highly trained killers. Once again, an unfortunate group of people who have lost their minds. Relapse is one of the most intense and sprawling missions in ReadyOrNot, and personally, my favourite mission in the entire game. Set in the Coastal Grove Medical Center, this map is a hospital under siege, and its design emphasises both scale and tension. The complex includes multiple levels. It's a massive map with a lot of rooms to cover. Entry can be made through the main lobby entrance or a rear staff entrance, each with its own tactical pros and cons. The long corridors and vertical interplay make it easy to get ambushed, while the sterile clinical setting, supposed to be a place of safety, heightens the mission's disturbing tone. The enemies of the operation are the Hand, a jihadist terror cell with Yemeni roots and direct ties to the Neon Tomb nightclub massacre. The presence here in Los Sueños signals the group's reach and sophistication. After the Neon Tomb, we understood that they had a lot of connections and power, but this just enhances it even more. In this mission, they are heavily armed with rifles, SMGs and explosives, but what makes them uniquely dangerous is their ability to blend into the environment. Some are disguised as doctors or even patients, forcing you to hesitate and confirm threats under fire. This blurring of civilian and combatant roles creates constant tension. Adding to the stakes were 2 active bombs planted in the hospital's upper floors. Disarming both is a mandatory objective. However, the game is quite lenient on how much time you have to defuse them. Beyond that, you must also locate and secure Zahir Quadama, a captured leader of the Hand who we took in from the Neon Tomb. He was receiving treatment in the ICU when the assault began. The Hand want to retrieve him, or maybe execute him. These layered objectives force you to juggle hostage rescue, bomb disposal, and high-value target capture in one massive firefight. You should clear floor by floor, securing the ground floor before pushing upstairs. The Hand uses vertical positioning to ambush you, especially on floor 3, where you'll have a big catwalk, and this is a death trap if you're not prepared. Flashbangs and gas grenades are invaluable in the hospital's tight rooms, while wedges help lock down corridors and stop backtracking suspects. suspects. Because suspects can be disguised, patience and trigger discipline are vital as well, but hesitation could also be deadly if a disguised doctor suddenly produces a Makarov. Relapse is one of the most significant missions in the campaign, serving as a direct continuation of the Neon Tomb attack. After the mass casualty strike at the nightclub, the Hand launches its assault to recover or silence the captured leader, Zahir Quadama, before authorities can interrogate him. The fact they are targeting a hospital highlights their brutality and reach. They are willing to massacre innocents in a place meant for healing. The mission underscores how Los Sueños is becoming a battlefield for a larger war, with terror networks using the city as both a staging ground and a propaganda showcase. The inclusion of disguised suspects and bomb threats speak to the Hand's adaptability and calculated cruelty, while the rescue of Quanima is framed as a pivotal moment in their crippling leadership. The atmosphere of the hospital adds so much dread. The sterile white halls quickly become littered with gunfire, blood and panic, while the cries of civilians and the urgency of active bombs amplify the stress. Other players often describe this mission as one of the most grueling in the game, not just because the enemy count and scale, but because of the psychological weight of fighting in a hospital. The mission embodies ReadyOrNot's reoccurring themes: the fragility of institutions meant to protect society, and the escalation of organized violence, and the thin line SWAT must walk between precision and overwhelming chaos. These operations are way above a pay grade of a SWAT operator. By the time you've secured Quadama and defused the final bomb, you feel less like you've completed a tactical operation, and more like you've clawed back a small piece of order from total collapse. And for once, you actually feel like you achieved something. Hide and Seek is the climactic final mission of Ready or Not, taking place in the vast Port Hakan shipping yard during a joint raid on February 18th, 2026. The scale of the map is immense, forcing you to fight through a sprawling labyrinth of shipping containers, warehouses, dockside trailers, and open yards under the cover of the night. The area is split into multiple terminals, with LSPD handling Terminal A, Federal HRT covering Terminal D, and ATF sweeping Terminal J, while aerial assets provide overwatch. This means we've got many different departments working together to pin the nail in the coffin. For us, this translates into a multi-layered battleground. The tight claustrophobic alleys between containers can collapse into sudden ambushes, while wide open yards and elevated catwalks exposure to long-range fire. A lighthouse tower overlooking the central warehouse provides one of the few elevated vantage points, allowing you to shoot people from afar, but also vice versa. The enemies in this mission are some of the most dangerous in the entire game. Up to 21 armed suspects are scattered across the yard, with a few disguised as dock workers, blending into the environment until it's the time to strike. Their affiliation is with a massive international armed trafficking network, using Russian container ships to smuggle modified weapons from Los Sueños into Mexico, Canada, and Colombia. Their disguises and patience makes them especially threatening. You'll never know if the worker across the yard is an innocent or an AK-toting gunman. Alongside the suspects, there are civilians present. Some of the most disturbing discoveries come from soft objectives: shipping containers filled with drugs, stockpiles of weapons, and perhaps the most haunting moment arrives when we come across one particular container, and this is what we find.
Doc, we have a container full of women. We need Thames down here right now.
Copy that, entry team. EMTs and trailers.
This is FISA. Stand down and shut that door, entry team. We're sending a unit to secure the container and its contents.
What? We're not leaving them like this.
Close the doors! Unless you want to interfere with a federal investigation, I suggest you shut the door and lock it behind you. Do your job and proceed with your mission. Understood?
Understood. Put the other guy back on. We'll talk later.
No, we won't be. FISA out.
Entry team, you are cleared to proceed with the mission.
A shipping container full of women. Who knows how long they've been here for, but either way, FISA tell us to close the door. We don't know what FISA are up to, but it's highly likely they're playing a part in this, with a subtle little detail with their subtitles being red, which is only occurring when an enemy speaks to us. Obeying this command counts as completing an objective, but it forces us to grapple with the moral ambiguity of following orders in the face of human suffering. Yet another cargo box will lead you into an underground auction. It's very ominous and off-putting, with ladies down here are most likely victims. Here we learn that this isn't just a normal auction, this is a human trafficking auction. Looking at the wall we'll see a sign that says, "Today's menu," with pictures of a bunch of women. It's truly disturbing, and to add on to this, around here we'll find an armed man who's dressed up in this weird creepy gimp suit, which only enhances its weirdness. The gameplay flow of hide and seek reflects both the physical and moral weight of the mission. I found this mission particularly difficult trying to S-rank due to the pure amount of enemies that we come across here, with the wide-scaping distances that they can actually shoot us from. The wide sightlines across the containers make cover discipline essential. The soft objectives demand meticulous searching. Every marked container must be opened and inspected. The mission is brutally unforgiving. Enemies have excellent aim, and there are very few safe sightlines, and progress feels like grinding through a war zone. Hide and seek represents the culmination of all the game's investigative threads. Earlier missions, such as seize a car dealership, reveal clues about the pipelines of arms being funneled through Los Sueños. Here, that web comes into full view, and multinational smuggling operations with links to gangs, cults, and terrorists, orchestrated through one of the city's largest infrastructure hubs. The mission's involvement of Pfizer and ATF emphasizes how far-reaching the crisis has become. This is no longer just about local SWAT, but about international crime and federal politics. Yet the presence of ambiguous orders, such as sealing off the human trafficking container, underscores that victory is not clean. The operation dismantles a major hub, but it ends not with a triumph, but a hollow sense of complicity and unanswered questions. Atmospherically, hide and seek leaves us more unsettled rather than victorious. The sterile utilitarian sprawl of the shipping yard is filled with death and exploitation, and instead of closure, the mission ends on a cliffhanger of ambiguity. The traffic victims, the concealed containers, and the sense that you've only exposed a fragment of a global machine make it clear that Los Sueños remains trapped in a cycle of violence and corruption. Deliberately designed to avoid the fireworks of a heroic conclusion. Instead, it emphasizes Ready or Not's central themes: systemic decay, moral compromise, and the grim reality that law enforcement's victories rarely resolve the deeper roots of crime. And by the time you extract from Port Hakan, you've shut down a massive arms hub, but you're left with a nagging feel that the war is far from over. And your job is done. What? Did you expect a happy ending? Don't be silly. This is Los Sueños. You've done your part, and you can go home. What about the rest of the problems? The ladies being trafficked, Pfizer being suspicious? Doesn't matter. Not to you anyway. You're just a cop, and you've done your job. You are below the ones above, and you stay in your place. Ready or Not wants to remind you that you aren't here to cleanse Los Sueños and be the hero, but instead you're here to be told what to do, and you do it. And that is your job. You may wonder why Judge was chosen to lead all these absurdly dangerous operations, why he's never stressed or make remarks when finding sickening things, how he's always so effective and soulless. He is the best SWAT officer in Los Sueños and has skills that far surpass his crew. It isn't natural. And if you know anything about US history, you may have heard of MK Ultra, which was an illegal human experiment to make drugs and procedures to brainwash people by the CIA in the 1950s. The Ready or Not CIA is the US IA, and the universe is set in a world where the US won against Vietnam, and MK Ultra was a success, with suggestions that Judge has had connections with the US IA. If we cut back to Lethal Obsession, Gerard Scott had voice calls and notes that tell us he knows a lot about Judge, the US IA, and the LSPD, because remember, Gerard worked in the US IA. There is a voice message that speaks of experiments to create the perfect soldier with clones, which highly implies that Judge was a part of these experiments. Judge isn't normal, he was crafted for this. Think how every other SWAT operator gets stressed after killing too many people in operations. How Judge never ever says anything when he finds horrific things, such as the convulsing child in Twisted Nerve, or the big shrine dedicated to Amos Paul's daughter in Valley of the Dolls, and how he can get shot and kind of just shrug it off. If your team gets incapacitated, they have to wait a few days, but Judge, it doesn't even affect him. He was born and bred for this, and it makes us think what else they were hiding. And that, my friends, is Ready or Not. Long sprawling dark operations in a destructive city that is too far gone. It's truly a masterpiece in world storytelling. But I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a real good time to dive into this game, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you liked and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, it would really help me out. Don't forget to hit that bell as well, as I'll be doing some tier lists based in Ready or Not, and maybe I'll cover another game that you're interested in. Either way, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ta-da.